Hey guys, hello and welcome back to the show. So today we have a semi-cast, semi-tutorial that is coming y'all's way. So this is a video type that I haven't done for a while. I think it's been a year now, but I used to do replay reviews semi-frequently in the early days of the channel. So kind of got away from it just because I felt like there wasn't a huge amount of interest. So, but a couple of you guys have reached out and asked if I could take a look at your replays and give kind of a third-party opinion of what's going on and what I think is kind of going wrong within the replays. So this one was actually submitted by Morgan Freeman, and I'll see if I can put together a good Morgan Freeman impression for you guys. But let's introduce our players real quick. Like I said, we're going to treat this as a semi-cast as well. Team 1 up at the top, Team 2 down at the bottom. Start with the westernmost player. We have Logan 1 Kenobi, also a fantastic name, going Cybran, going first Air Factory. Okay, so first problem I'm seeing here, Air Factory first is risky, just because it costs more energy to build the Air Factory right off the bat, especially if you're going for kind of a hydro rush. Normally, if you're going to go Air Factory first, you need to get a couple P-gens up as well. Continuing with our player introductions, we've got Docus, who's going UEF, opening first land. Not seeing any problems with the opening. Then we got Sione, going Cybran, opening first land. There's no adjacency here. I think this is a style thing. I prefer having adjacency on my first land factory, but it's up to y'all, because it does mean that you have to sacrifice the mass storage later. Next, we've got Morgan Freeman, submitter of this replay, going Seraphim, opening first land. He does have adjacency there, which is good. Getting to work on a lot of power, a lot of T1 land spam. Love to see it. And then let's go ahead and introduce team number 2 here real quick, starting with the westernmost player again. We have D1234 going Cybran, opening first and second land. His teammate to the north, we've got, oh no, who's going UEF, opening first land with actually adjacency to the hydro, or actually not even adjacency to the hydro. So once again, you know, if you're going to have adjacency, they need to be lined up perfectly. Maybe not everybody knows that, but next we've got Crazy, who's going Cybran, opening first air. Also with no adjacency on the factory. Again, I think it's a little bit of a mistake, but at least he's going power generators after, so that he's not going to have as bad of an e-stall. And then we've got Nodels, I believe, is going Seraphim, opening first land. And here you can see we do have adjacency because the land factory is lined up to the hydrocarbon factory. So we're going to be focusing on Morgan Freeman, just as far as his performance in this game. I'll be calling plays throughout, but we're going to be focusing on the purple player, taking a look at what I think could be done to sharpen up his gameplay, since he was the one that took the time to submit the replays and actually wrote me a little bit of background on these games as well. I think he said that I think everybody on the top team is kind of a group of friends, and he said that they used to play in-house games against each other, but decided that they wanted to go and try their hand against other people, and have been having issues kind of adapting to the changes, which is definitely true. Like, if you play against the same people all the time, you're going to learn how they like to play. You can get into kind of a rut here, as we've got a Zeus attacking a T1 Mex whenever there's a bunch of engineers up here. That'd be a great little engineer kill. You could probably bag all 6 of those engineers. As it is, you are going to get a Mex anyway, so but a little bit of a missed opportunity. Interceptors locked on, not going to be able to pick up the engineer cluster, which would have been really, really good. That would have definitely hurt Sione quite a bit in his initial build. But looking at Morgan Freeman, so going for lots of T1 spam, well, I would say it's a lot for a 4v4, 6 T1 land factories to kick things off here. He's getting some reclaim, which is good. And then we've got engineer going for power. What are you building out of this? Okay, so you're building more engineers. That's good. Definitely need more. I'm only seeing like 5 on the screen right now. And at 4 minutes in, should be looking for a little bit more. I think he did grab a nice little engineer cluster there. But expanding out to the far eastern side, which is good as well. What does your eco look like? I don't know if you can support all these land factories right off the bat. Yeah, you definitely cannot. Okay, so in this situation, you need to be doing one of two things. You need to either stop building more land factories, or you need to task engineer additional engineers to reclaim, which is what I think you're doing with this guy right here. Yeah, so you get a little patrol route there. You've got this one patrolling. Okay, so I think this guy built the hydro and then you send him on a patrol route, which is good. But you want to focus on getting these 3 mexes. You don't want to be building more land factories right now with your commander because you can't support the factories that you currently have. It's only 13 mass coming in every second. So I would, stop this guy from doing this, and I would go grab these 2 mexes, and then maybe set up a reclaim order for this little reclaim field down here. This map, there's a lot of reclaim on this map, just really across the board. So sending engineers to go out and get it is definitely super, super important, which you are doing. But as far as like reading the map, you need to be doing more of it just because there is so much reclaim on this map. If this was like a famine Neuroxis map generator map where there isn't a whole lot of reclaim, then obviously you'd prioritize it less. On this one, there is a ton of reclaim, so you need to prioritize it more. Just a little bit of looking at the map and kind of trying to adapt to it. Going for another land factory, a 3rd land factory. This one is producing engineers. Okay, so just on a rally point, one thing that actually I've known about for a really long time, but somebody popped into the comments on my last ladder map, because this is something I've been trying to get better on as well, but you can save yourself some actions per minute. You can queue up a patrol order right out of the factory. So this guy is producing engineers, I think just on repeat. Let's see what comes out next. But if it's producing engineers on repeat, you can just have it queue up a patrol order or an attack move order right out of the factory, and you can make it super big. Like you could do. Is this gonna work for me? No, it's not gonna work for me. But you could patrol like here to up there to over there, and those engineers are just going to circulate around, grabbing all that reclaim, which is really good. So let's look at some other spots in the map, because we've dissected Worgen Freeman quite a bit here. We do have some jesters that are bumping around here from Logan 1 Kenobi. Still love that name. Huge Star Wars fan. I appreciate the fan service for Star Wars. But you're going for some jesters. What does your initial build order look like? Okay, this is too many T1 air factories. If you're going to be going air, like right off the bat, well, okay, so first off, right off the bat, if you're not communicating with your gray player that you're just going to be like kind of leaving this side of the map undefended, then you need to be building some land factories. It does look like Sione has picked up on it a little bit and has shifted some of his T1 forces to kind of plug the gap. But this is a pretty weak little group. And now you're forcing CNA to fight 2 opponents here. So he's got to fight, oh no, and he's got to fight D1, 2, 3, 4 as well. Which is, I mean, that's fine if that was the game plan. You know, that's a viable strategy. But if that's what you're going to be doing, you don't go 6 T1 land factories. I would get rid of these 3. Maybe go 2 for interceptors, get this one up to T2, and then start going snipes. Or, I think on this map, I don't think I would go for a straight T3 air rush on this map. You know, 4v4 with how exposed your flank is. I think that going T3 and getting some snipes off is going to be your, or going T2 and then getting some snipes off quickly is going to be your best option. But by and large, team number 1 is getting out ecoed by team number 2, and I have a sneaking suspicion here. Yeah, so let's look at the reclaim differences. So team 2 has cleared out a good portion of their side of the map, while team 1, you still got some reclaim that's up here. Specifically this little rock deposit right there. Even though you guys are doing a relatively good job of grabbing reclaim, team 2 doing a little bit better. Specifically D1, 2, 3, 4, you can see how many engineers he has tasked on reclaim. He's also got an attack move out of his factory. So this is a cool trick that I actually didn't know about until I had been playing for maybe a year or so. But if you attack move out of the factory, it gives your engineers huge range. As you can see, these guys haven't moved and they've reclaimed like this entire sphere right here. And you can actually, if you hold shift, you can grab this, move it, and then the engineers will then move and then start sucking up the trees as well. So if you're going to be doing reclaim as well and you want to do, and you have a little bit more actions per minute at your disposal, that's a more efficient way than doing this kind of number and going for patrols or attack moves after the fact. So it takes a little bit more care and feeding because you got to manage those rally points a little bit more, but it does equal more efficiency. You got some bombers coming in from Crazy. And then Logan 1 Kenobi really going all in on T1. Yeah, there's too much T1 here. I think the Jesters are sort of a waste here. You're pinging down, so you've got the right idea. You know, you're seeing a commander that's exposed. You're shifting your air into cover, but you're going to snipe him with 3 Jesters and 3 T1 bombers. This is not enough. You would need probably 8 or 9 Jesters, and then like maybe 10 T1 bombers in order to do this in a timely fashion. And you can see you're just not putting out enough damage here. The interceptors from D1, 2, 3, 4 are in good position. Yours were out of position, so that means that the snipe is going to end up failing. Whereas if you had waited and gone T2 and gone for some Renegades or some Corsairs there, it would have given your units longer time surviving, would have meant for a more successful snipe. I'm pretty sure this is also 4v4 matchmaking with full share on, if I'm remembering correctly from watching the replay through. So going for snipes just period, kind of in these settings, it can be okay, especially I guess at this skill level it helps. It's actually pretty good because players are often, and even at my skill level, but players are often overwhelmed if they inherit another base and just kind of vapor lock. That's what I do all the time. We've got Sione. He's got a little bit of a fire base set up here. Oh no is pushing in with the gun comm. Oh no, this is actually Docus. I don't know why I kept calling him Sione, but Docus getting pushed in by a gun comm here. On this side of the map, we do have gun for both Worgen Freeman and Nodels. And so this is good that you're going for gun upgrade and you have overcharge. That's beautiful. I'm not sure if you have it set to, do you have it set to auto or are you manually? All right, can't see that button, unfortunately, in observer view. But my initial guess is that you were manually overcharging because I haven't seen any overcharges go out since then. Oh, and you need radar. You need radar further forward because your commander cannot see bad guys. So you have this gun comm that has this huge range advantage over T1 units, but it can't see what it's shooting at because there's no radar, which is unfortunate. It's a bummer. It's going to cause you to retreat here because you're unsure about what's happening behind you. Not sure if that's a new radar or an old one. Either way. So now things are a little bit static. Let's look at bases and eco. So we've got Sione has got really 2 bases here. He's got T2 land. I think this was his original base, but he's gone for a lot of the upgrades on Cormexes in the safer base, which is, it's fine. Now we're making the jump to T2 air for Logan 1 Kenobi. So you got no mass. I think that, oh no, you're not even, okay, you're still making Jesters and you're mass stalling really, really badly. So Jesters have not really worked out for you so far this game. You've wasted a good amount of mass and energy on them. You've got the right idea, you're just using the wrong unit for it. Just because, like, Jesters are not that great, honestly. They're okay. But you'd be better off if you, instead of throwing more mass into more Jesters, like how much is a Jester? I can't remember. 170 mass. You've got, how many on the screen here? You got 6. You could have upgraded 1 and then gone for half of another T1 mechs to T2, and then you wouldn't be mass stalling as badly. So I would say that, and then that would allow you to go to T2 air. You could push out some gunships. Like, everybody's happy. Everything goes well. Got a fight happening over lots of mobile AA there for No-Del's. And No-Del's air is just getting absolutely annihilated. You have a lot of mobile anti-air in this mix. I don't think you need this much. What does your unit queue look like? Okay, so you're going 3 tanks to a Zooey to a mobile AA. So yeah, I would shift this up, and you're actually shifting it up right now. Oh no, you're not. Okay, I would shift this up. I would do like 4 or 5. I would do like 5, maybe 6 tanks to 2 Zooeys and 1 mobile AA. Because the T1 mobile AA is really not that great. It's like kind of your last ditch attempt. It'll help protect against like T1 bombers and things like that, but you see a lot of higher level players, they don't really build mobile AA in a lot of their forward armies and rely on interceptors instead. Which is, you know, again, more mass efficient, more better, more effective. Okay, now you've got the Jesters on Oh No. And Oh No needs some help from D1234 down here. So again, Interceptor's going to come in, they're just going to eviscerate the Interceptors. Even T1 mobile AA does okay against Jesters, whereas if these were Renegades or Corsairs, T1 MAA, not going to do a whole lot. We've got more Jesters on the way. Yeah, so I think this is just an eco. This is, I think, just tunnel vision here. You know, you think you've found your win condition and you're trying too hard to turn it into a reality. And that's, I think, the biggest thing that's one of the biggest problems. I think we call it FAF brain. But it's you get zeroed in on something and you're like, this is what I need to do and this is the only way I can win and I just need to do this one thing better. Whenever in reality, if you change your strategy up and get a little bit more flexible, a lot of times you can get better results, like upgrading mexes and then going for Renegades or Corsairs right off the bat. Okay. Spent a lot of time talking about that. I'm just trying to, I guess I'm trying to help where I can. Regen aura now for Worgen Freeman. And we've got Docus has gone for a T2 upgrade on his commander. And is using it to Firebase. You've got a lot of land factories on the front and a shitload of reclaim on your doorstep. So again, I would refer back to other parts of the video where either set up an attack move or actually, Oh No is about to die. So, all right, you did it with the Jesters and the T1 bombers. You did it. It only cost like 4,000 or 5,000 mass and Jesters, but you did get a con kill. That's good. Okay, back to what I was saying before. Oh, you're doing it, are you? Is one of these making engineers? No. Okay, but you have this engineer up front here. You got a couple engineers up front that are grabbing reclaim. Okay, that's good. I don't have to. I can sleep better at night. And yeah, it does look like full share is on as D1234 has inherited that position. All right. Okay, T2 on the field. We've got Ilshivas out for Noodles. No-Del's. It's probably Noodles. That's probably how you pronounce it. Big T1 pushing out coming from Worgen Freeman. This is another thing I think you could tighten up a little bit is your timing on upgrades. So it's 17 minutes into the game. You've got a ton of T1 units on the field. You're still making more. This is a long time to be at T1. Long time to be at T1, especially in a team game. Ladder, you could probably get away with it, but in a team game, this is a really long time to be at T1. But you do have a gun comm with the regen aura. It's helping out actually a lot. You need to take out this T2 point defense. It's killed 19 of your troops, and there's a ton of point defense behind it. And that's really just chewing up all your T1 units, where if you took all these T1 units and replaced them with like 10 Ilshivas, this wouldn't have even been an issue. You would have just steamrolled this base. As it is, you've got a lot of opposition here. But luckily you do have a gun comm. I think the regen aura is actually not helping you a whole lot because your units are dying so fast to the PV, because they just don't have a whole lot of HP. The regen aura is really good when used in conjunction with Ilshibas. At least so I've been told. I don't play Seraphim that much, but that is what I have been told. Oh, now we got T3 on the field. Yeah, so Team 1, just a huge tech deficit. And I don't think it's even just because of... it's not even like that you guys are not upgrading, because we've got T2 on Sione, and then Worgen has Tech 2 as well. You guys just aren't using it. So at this point, shut down all of your T1 land factories, upgrade them to T2, take a break with your commander, although you are going to get a commander kill here. I would call this more Noodles being unprepared. We have Jesters contributing as well. I would call this more Noodles being unprepared than you playing super well, to be honest with you. Not to be harsh or anything, but yeah, you're going to walk the commander down. Your units are getting a little bit in the way here. I think you tried to do a Shift G. Maybe practice that a little bit, because you can block your own commander. Another thing I would do is, whenever you're in situations like this, I can't show you guys in a cast right now, but if you select any of your units, you'll see a little attack icon on the bottom side of the map. So you'll see your little control bar here, and there's going to be an attack button. If you have your commander selected and you right-click that button, it shifts it to snipe. Or you don't shift-click, you right-click that button. So right-click the attack button, and it sets your commander target priority to snipe. So then your commander will just automatically attack the other commander, even if there are other units in the area, which, you know, can be helpful, can be very helpful in certain situations. But the tech mismatch here is, I think, going to become a huge problem. And you have taken out 2 of the enemy players, which is really, really good. You guys are probably feeling pretty good about yourselves right now. Unfortunately, you guys are about 40k behind on mass accrued. And now we've seen that reclaim that Team 2 did a better job of grabbing early in the game translate into max upgrades here for D1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got all core mass at T2, most of it ringed as well. We have a monkey that is nearly completed. I don't know how y'all are going to deal with that. And then if we shift over to Team 1, we've still got core mass here that is not upgraded. Not sure what happened here. Were you control K'ing and upgrading? Or was there a strat that I missed? Maybe there was a strat that I missed. But on the off chance that you were control K'ing and rebuilding, you don't do that from T1 to T2. It's not super efficient, and you definitely don't want to build mass storage before the mech is done. But yeah, so we still got, okay, this had to have been control K, because we've got mass storage still up here. So yeah, you're control K'ing at T1 on mexes to upgrade to T2. That's unnecessary and a little bit inefficient. Or well, I wouldn't say it's inefficient. It is probably about the same. I haven't run the test actually, but it's probably about as efficient as upgrading from T1 to T2. The only problem is it's not really worth your time, because you might save 50 mass instead of 600, and 50 mass is like an extra tank. So it's just not really worth the micromanaging of the upgrades, in my opinion at least. Okay, got bricks. Okay, so we do have rhinos out on the field now. That's good. Brick is dying to Zooies. Okay, so we do have pretty good radar coverage here for, well, I say that. I'm only seeing one radar building, and it's up here. Do bricks have radar? No, bricks don't have radar. Oh, this is the other radar. Okay. D2. I'm not seeing there's no circle on the screen. But, okay, so we've got push now coming in from Sione. There's not enough units to break the Cerberus here. And let's see where we're at with everybody else on the map. Okay, so we got a T3 mechs now. Okay. Goodbye, Docus. Right? Maybe? Monkey can't get a... Okay, there he goes. All right, so here you go. So the monkey is out. I don't think anybody on team number 1 is upgraded to T3 yet. Yeah, so we don't have T3 air, no T3 land. We have Navy. Why do we have Navy? Okay, so I'm not sure if you were just memeing here, but I'll take the. I'm gonna assume that you thought this would be a good idea. That sounds like a really mean way to say that. All right, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna assume that there is a plan behind this. If you want to do the Salem thing on this map, first off, I wouldn't recommend it. Second, I wouldn't put the naval factory here. These things move so freaking slow across land. I would have put it like down here, or maybe in the very northern section of this. You guys have had control over this kind of section of the map almost the entire game. And if you put it there, then you can sail down up and down this channel. You can range all of these land factories. You can get out. You can start threatening this base. As it is, these guys are going to take 30 minutes just to walk down to where they can do something. So I mean, again, I guess it's not a terrible strategy. I think there's better strategies out there. Okay, what else we got? Bricks, mobile missile launchers. So you're gonna click your units in. So this is a mass donation, like these T1 units. I would say the T1 units that Worgen has produced for the last 10 minutes or so have largely just been mass donations. Wow, I've actually never used fire beetles before, but that actually did a significant amount of damage. Gonna need some flex tape for that. Actually, not even flex tape is gonna fix those wrecks. Oh, it doesn't even leave reclaim. That's pretty dope. Yeah, I need to try out some fire beetles. As a Cybern player, it seems like something that I could do to really piss off my opponent with stealth and stupid stuff. But yeah, as you can see, like these T1 units, the Cerberus are going to target the artillery first, and the artillery is really what's going to cause damage to your buildings, to the buildings. So once the tanks get in here, there's nothing really for them to do. Like the best thing I think you could have gotten done is maybe killing these radars, but yeah, there was nothing really that they could have done once they got in, because these are all buildings. There's not really units here. Even if there were units there, they probably would have been T2, because we do have T2 land out from crazy. And as you can see, he's got mobile missile launchers and fire beetles. So T1 is, I've talked about this a lot, but T1 is officially out of style right now in this game. You can kind of lump it in with bell-bottom jeans and what's something else that went way out of style? I don't know. I'm not a big style person. I let my wife pick all my clothes. I wear basketball shorts and a t-shirt to pretty much everything. If I want to dress up, I wear jeans and a t-shirt. If I'm going to church or something. Yeah, I'm not somebody to take fashion advice from, even the slightest. Whenever I wear like my suit and tie, I just go for like the most basic setup that you can. I have a gunmetal gray shirt. I either wear a black or a white tie with it, and then I have an all black suit and black shoes. Looks good. It's nice. It's classic. It's clean. Never goes out of style. Yeah, so good little scouting right here. Good little scouting run. Love to see it. Love to see it. Scouting is something I'm terrible at. Okay, so T3 air now just finishing for D1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, T3 land and T3 air on the field, soon to be on the field at least. And this T3 land is really just kind of rolling through all of the territory that Worgen worked so hard to get a handle on. And T1 units, again, not going to be able to stop this. And we could again go to kind of the decision from, Jesus Christ, we could again go to the decision from Logan 1 Kenobi to stick at T1 air and kind of go all in on the T1 air game. Even T1, I mean, jesters are just going to like lightly tickle bricks. They need, if you were T2 here and had some Renegades, some Corsairs, or if you were T3 and had some Whalers, like these units would be a mass donation, but they're not, because there's nothing really that you can use to respond to it. We do have T2 air out from Worgen, who's gone for Nathas. And Nathas are good, but I think that Volthus are definitely the play here against bricks. And you can see how much damage is kind of being done by these jesters. It's next to nothing. You do have a lot of T1 bombers in here. Ironically, and what's going to be surprising to you is that the T1 bombers are actually going to be more effective than the jesters. And see, the T1 bombers actually doing some work. That combined with the overcharges, that's good to see. You're not afraid to use your commander to overcharge down a small number of T3 units. Unfortunately, though, it's not really a small number. It is a rather large number. So the T1 bombers doing far more than the jesters, I think, at this point in the game. The only downside is, as soon as D1, 2, 3, 4 gets wise to this and puts like a couple of bangers in the mix, or okay, he's actually just going for bouncers, which is actually, it's arguably worse than bangers, but regardless, whenever he starts putting AA in this mix, like this whole unit, this whole little air force that you got here is done. Or if he just brings his interceptors in. I don't really see a whole lot of interceptors. There's just, you got small little air forces around, but he's got more interceptors than you do. Oh, and CNA getting defeated by strats. Okay. So yeah, we got strats now on the field, and we do have T3, and a couple of T3 engineers, but they're going to work on an Owasso. So at this point, if there's strats over your base, you got to be going for T3 static, especially if your air player is not focusing on ASFs, because these strats are just going to kind of run rampant at this point. Oh, that's going to be a tasty bomb. Oh, it's actually going just straight for the snipe on Logan 1 Kenobi. Could actually do, I think, a lot more damage if they didn't go for the snipe. Yeah, Revenant is nearly dead there. That should get picked up by the interceptors. I don't think Logan 1 Kenobi. Oh, Crazy gets defeated by Logan 1 Kenobi. Must have been... Okay, that was... Oh no, those are Crazy's Corsairs. I was like, oh, he went to T2. He didn't go to T2. But I think he might be dead here. I can't remember exactly how much his strat does. Bomb didn't drop. Maybe it was a lack of radar coverage. Either way, I think that strat will get another pass. Maybe? Yeah, it will. I think that's going to be it for Logan 1 Kenobi. Alright. So now it's a one-on-one with Worgen Friedman wrapping it up against D1, 2, 3, 4. Unfortunately, Worgen is at a huge disadvantage here, both in terms of eco as well as in terms of overall tech level. So with the T3 land factory, all right, this is not good. So going for experimentals and using experimentals is a little bit tricky, because there's I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. Especially, okay, so if you've played the campaign, and the campaign is like the only experience you have, and then you jump into multiplayer, you're like, okay, the Owasso from that one Seraphim mission, I can't remember which one it is, but you're in the ice area, and I think you're fighting to relieve the army that is attacking the princess, the Aeon princess. I haven't played through the campaign in a while, so I'm probably getting that wrong. But that campaign mission leads you to believe that these experimental bombers are like the ultimate shit. Like they are the end all be all, and they're really not. Especially if you've got ASFs on the field, which I don't know if he has. I think he's going straight for strats. But either way, you don't have air control right now. And without air control, you can't build an air experimental because it's just going to die almost immediately. And I would say even without air control, you want to be judicious about how you use your land experimentals, because if you're lacking air control, it becomes very easy to take out a land experimental with even something as simple as T1 bombers. If you spam up a bunch of T1 bombers. I actually submitted a replay to Willow the other day where that was like the only thing that we could do as our team, is we kept getting hit by monkeys, and the only thing that I could do to respond to it adequately was just throw as many T1 bombers into the air as I could, and it ended up working pretty well. So you have to be very careful about how you use experimentals, just because they are so expensive, and if they die in a bad place, it gives the enemy a ton of reclaim, which is also something that popped up in that replay. Speaking of reclaim, you need to be getting this. That's a cool little 10,000 mass. What does your mass bar look like right now? Yeah, 10,000 mass could be helpful. Could be helpful to say the least. So anyway, all that being said, you're throwing all of your eco into an Owasso right now. Don't think that's a great idea. You need to be throwing your eco into some Authams, some sniper bots, some mobile shields on the land side of things, because I think Seraphim T3 land is the only T3 land you've got. And then on the air side, you need to start getting some ASFs up, because you've seen 2 players die to strats, and there are more strats on the way down here. You need to have some ASF to be able to respond to that. You are still making T1. Yeah, cannot be making T1 at this point in the game. Alright, so the Owasso is about 3/4 of the way done. You grabbing this reclaim yet? Nope. So, for newer players out here, I keep pulling up this like reclaim view. This is Control Shift, and this is the default key binding. So if you load into a game, hold Control Shift, it'll show you all of the reclaim on the map. And I've talked about mods that I use in past videos, but this is a nice little mod up here. I think it's called like extra reclaim information or something. I'll drop the name down in the description below, but this is really nice because it'll add up like what your reclaim is on the screen. So you know, I can see that there's exactly 77,000, almost 100 reclaim on the screen right now. It also does a couple of other things, like if you click on something, you can see the mass cost as well as how much it's draining every second. So it's nice. So you can see this guy is draining 1 in mass, 26 energy, cost 52 and 260. So yeah, it's a nice little, it's an interesting little mod. Gives you some good information. I use it a lot. I find a lot of use out of it. So alrighty. So let's see what we got here. We got the glorious army of the Ilshivas. And I don't think that... So here's the problem with Salem's. They do a lot of damage, but they're not great at dealing with like large amounts of units, especially if those units get really close. Alright, so let's look how things develop. So we are seeing some ASFs on the field now. And your Owasso has just finished, and that Owasso is going to die almost immediately. ASFs pick up on it. You can see how quickly ASFs are able to deal with these experimental bombers. Like I said, the campaign makes them look like the absolute shit, but they don't have all that much HP. We had, you know, that was, and you were even fighting over Allied AA there, but that was maybe 20 to 30 interceptors and then 10 or so ASF were able to take out that Owasso, and that is that was all of your economy there. So the Owasso would have been good if you had escorted it with, 20 ASF. Then you would have been able to get in here. You probably would have been able to wipe out a huge chunk of D1234's eco. As it is, he's getting into your eco with bricks and causing lots of issues. This is probably information overload as well. At the end of this replay, I'll summarize. Well, actually, we could probably do it now. I think the game is essentially over. ASFs are just going to absolutely annihilate your Air Force here. T1 versus T3, guys. I've run that science video before. It's not great for T1. Okay, so let's summarize here. And I'm gonna go by. I think I'm gonna go by players. So the two players that I focused on the most here were, I think, Worgen and then Logan 1 Kenobi. So let's talk about Logan 1 Kenobi first. So Logan 1 Kenobi decided that he wanted to be an air player, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with deciding, like, hey, I want to focus on air. But the first thing you need to do is you need to communicate that to your team. You need to say, hey, I am going to be focusing on air, so expect less ground from me. And that's perfectly fine, going for an air-heavy build, as long as it works into the overall team strategy. So going for an air-heavy build, but he went like all T1 and put all of his eggs in the T1 basket, which semi-worked out for him because he was able to get some good snipes off, but it wasn't as effective as it could have been whenever you got to as it could have been if you had gone for T2 or T3. The other thing that we saw was you had a lot of engineers assisting to create jesters. I think when all was said and done at the end of the day, you were stalling mass by -30, -45 for most of the game. And you could have, if you had stopped making jesters and put all of that eco into upgrading your economy, even if you wanted to stay at T1, which again, I'm not saying is a great idea, but even if you wanted to stay at T1, you could have pushed out way more jesters and actually powered all of these air factories if you had focused a little bit more on your economy. Shifting over to Worgen. So with Worgen, the primary problem was continuous utilization of Tech 1 units throughout the early parts of the game. I think that you did a pretty good job of ecoing by and large. I think that your reclaim game could have been tightened up a little bit. And I think that, yeah, primarily your reclaim game could have been tightened up a little bit. And looking at your mass bar and being able to make a determination of, okay, so I have less mass right now, engineers coming out need to go on reclaim, instead of just kind of ignoring the mass bar at the top and just hoping everything works out. Have kind of some dynamism, I'm going to make that word up, in your build order as you're moving through the game. But the biggest problem that you had was you were continuously using Tech 1 units even whenever you were at a tech mismatch. You're still making Tech 1 units at 40 minutes into the game. So these Tech 1 units are not going to do anything. Like, these two tanks are not even going to be able to kill this brick, I don't think. Well, in conjunction with the Natha, they will. But so continuously producing Tech 1 throughout the game. You did upgrade to Tech 2 and Tech 3, but I don't think I ever saw an Ilsheva out of you. I don't think I saw any sniper bots or anything like that. So it would have been good if you had shut down all of these T1 land factories at about 10 minutes or so, upgraded them to T2, and then pushed out a bunch of Ilshevas. It would have really blown this side of the map wide open for you. Then I think the last big thing to consider here is that I think the last big thing to keep in mind here is that as you're going through the game and reading what is an appropriate thing to do, you have to think about kind of what the worst case scenario is. So building this Awasa, you didn't have air control and it died before it got a bomb off really, really quickly to an inferior amount of units. So instead of going for an air experimental whenever you don't have air control, you need to be building ASF to try and get that air control back. or you need to at least be investing a lot of money into lightning tanks or bouncers or something like that to protect any land experimentals that you might build from getting sniped. And I think this is going to be the end right here. As Strat's coming in over the top. I'm not sure if D1234 knows where your comm is. Nope, he does. He's got spy planes right there. And I don't think you're going to be able to make it into the water. Nope. All right, that is it. So, summarize. Don't build T1 for too long. If you're going to be an air player, don't build that much T1 ever. And then thirdly, read whenever you're going to be building experimentals, think about how you're actually going to protect them, because the campaign just kind of makes experimentals seem like this end-all be-all unstoppable force, and they're very easy to deal with if you deal with them correctly, and you could see D1234 dealing with them correctly there. So I'll drop the link to this mod if you guys are interested in it down in the description below, or I'm not going to link it. I'll put the name. And the name, if you go into the mods tab in Fortune Alliance Forever, should give you, should take you right to it. Other than that, guys, I think that's about all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments of this kind of content. If you guys want to see more of it, this was much more of like a coaching kind of thing than a straight up cast, even though I did try and cast it a little bit. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you guys have any replays that you want me to take a look at, send them my way. Like I said, I got away from doing this because I felt like there was a lack of interest, but a couple people have reached out asking me to do it, so I'm gonna put these out and we'll see how they do. Alrighty, guys, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.